Imagine finding out that someone close to you, maybe a friend, a coworker, or even a family member, was living a secret life. Not just any secret, but something truly dark and terrifying. That was the reality for several people who got close to Dexter Morgan. To most, Dexter seemed like a regular guy. He worked as a blood spatter analyst for Miami Metro, had a quiet personality, and lived a pretty normal life. But beneath that calm, friendly appearance, he was something else entirely. The Bay Harbor butcher, a serial killer who only targeted criminals. He followed a strict set of rules, known as the Code of Harry, which helped him avoid getting caught. But secrets never stay hidden forever. Over the years, a handful of people figured out the truth. Some had suspicions, some found undeniable proof, and others even accepted it. But in the end, knowing Dexter's secret always came at a price. In this video, we'll break down every character who knew Dexter was the Bay Harbor butcher, how they reacted, and what happened to them in the end. James Dokes. From the very beginning, Sergeant James Dokes had a bad feeling about Dexter. While everyone else at Miami Metro saw him as the quiet but brilliant blood spatter analyst, Dokes saw something different, something off. He couldn't explain it, but his instincts told him that Dexter was hiding something. Unlike Dexter's other colleagues who found him a little weird but harmless, Dokes outright hated him. He didn't laugh at his jokes, didn't buy into his innocent act, and constantly kept an eye on him. While others trusted Dexter, Dokes followed his gut, believing he was dangerous. His suspicions started turning into real evidence during Season 2. When Dexter became sloppy, Dokes noticed Dexter disappearing at odd times and started trailing him. The turning point came when Dokes broke into Dexter's lab and found a stash of blood slides, tiny trophies Dexter kept from his victims. That was all the proof he needed. Dokes confronted Dexter, but instead of turning him in, he became the one on the run. Dexter managed to capture him and locked him away in a cabin. But before Dexter could figure out what to do, Lila Tournay, Dexter's obsessed girlfriend, found Dokes and decided to solve the problem for him by blowing up the cabin with Dokes inside. With Dokes dead, Miami Metro pinned the Bay Harbor butcher case on him. He died a wrongfully accused man, but in the end, he was the first person who truly saw Dexter for who he was. Lila Tournay. Lila was one of the few people who discovered Dexter's secret and actually accepted it. Unlike Dokes who wanted to stop Dexter, Lila saw his dark side and fell in love with it. Lila met Dexter in Season 2 when he started attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings to cover up his killing addiction. She was his sponsor, but she quickly became obsessed with him. Lila was wild, impulsive, and dangerous, someone who embraced chaos rather than feared it. When she learned the truth about Dexter, instead of being horrified, she saw him as a kindred spirit. In her mind, they were the same, two lost souls who didn't fit into normal society. So when she found out that Dexter had locked up Dokes for discovering his secret, she took matters into her own hands. Lila blew up the cabin where Dokes was being held, killing him instantly. She believed she was protecting Dexter, proving her love by removing his biggest threat. But Dexter never saw her as his soulmate. He saw her as a liability. When Lila realized Dexter didn't love her back, she turned on him. She tried to kill him, but Dexter got to her first. In the end, she met the same fate as many others who got too close to Dexter's secret. Maria LaGuerta. While most of Miami Metro believed James Dokes was the Bay Harbor butcher, one person refused to accept it: Captain Maria LaGuerta. She had worked closely with Dokes and knew he had a temper, but she also knew he wasn't a serial killer. Something didn't add up, and she was determined to find the truth. LaGuerta's suspicions started when she discovered evidence that pointed away from Dokes. She found inconsistencies in the case, but no one wanted to listen. In their minds, the Bay Harbor butcher case was closed and Dokes was guilty. But LaGuerta wasn't convinced. And when she dug deeper, she even found one of his blood slides, a clear sign of the real killer. LaGuerta set a trap for Dexter, but it backfired. Dexter captured her and planned to make her death look like a setup. But then Deborah walked in. She was faced with an impossible choice: kill Dexter or kill LaGuerta. In the end, Deborah chose her brother. She shot LaGuerta, killing her instantly. LaGuardia had been so close to proving the truth, but in the end, her search for justice led to her death. Like Dokes, she was one of the few people who saw through Dexter's mask, and she paid the ultimate price. Deborah Morgan. No one was closer to Dexter Morgan than his sister Deborah. She idolized him, trusted him, and believed he was one of the few good people in her life. But nothing could prepare her for the truth, that her beloved brother was the Bay Harbor butcher. Deborah's world shattered in season 7 when she walked in on Dexter killing Travis Marshall. At first, she was in complete denial. How could the person she loved and trusted the most be a serial killer? But as she started connecting the dots, she realized Dexter had been lying to her for years. At first, Deborah wanted to turn him in. As a detective, it was her duty. But as his sister, she couldn't bring herself to do it. Instead, she found herself covering up his crimes, burning evidence, and even committing murder for him when she killed LaGuardia. Killing LaGuardia destroyed Deborah. She spiraled into guilt, depression, and substance abuse. She hated Dexter for putting her in that position, but at the same time, she couldn't let him go. Their relationship became toxic, full of anger, resentment, and love all mixed together. In the end, it was Deborah who suffered the most from knowing Dexter's secret. She lost herself, her career, and ultimately, her life. In season 8, after being shot, she fell into a coma. Dexter, realizing that everything he touched turned to ruin, made a heartbreaking decision. He turned off her life support and let her go. Deborah was the only person who ever truly knew Dexter and still loved him. But knowing the truth about him destroyed her in the end. Hannah McKay. Unlike anyone else who learned Dexter's secret, Hannah McKay didn't fear him, hate him, or try to stop him. Instead, she accepted him completely. Hannah was introduced in season 7 as a former accomplice to a serial killer. She had a dark past, but unlike Dexter, she didn't follow a code. She killed when she felt it was necessary, whether it was to protect herself or eliminate a threat. When Dexter found out about her past, he was intrigued. And when Hannah learned the truth about Dexter, she didn't run. She fell in love with him. She saw him for who he really was and embraced it. She even helped him when he was in danger, proving her loyalty over and over again. Their relationship was complicated, but for the first time, Dexter met someone who truly understood him. He didn't have to hide or pretend around Hannah. She knew what he was, and she loved him anyway. Dexter even considered running away with her, believing they could have a future together. But in the end, life had other plans. He chose to stay behind and fake his death, leaving Hannah to raise his son, Harrison, alone. Out of everyone who knew Dexter's secret, Hannah was the only one who survived. She didn't try to fight him or stop him. She simply accepted him for who he was. Angela Bishop. In Dexter, New Blood, years after faking his death, Dexter had built a new life under the name Jim Lindsay in the small town of Iron Lake, New York. He had managed to stay under the radar until Angela Bishop, the town's police chief, started connecting the dots. Angela was sharp and observant. She was also dating Dexter, which gave her even more access to his life. When she started investigating the disappearance of Matt Caldwell, a local troublemaker Dexter had secretly killed, she found clues that didn't add up. Her suspicions grew when she found a link between Dexter and the Bay Harbor butcher case. She discovered that Dexter had been presumed dead, but never officially identified. Eventually, she gathered enough evidence and arrested him. Unlike the others who had figured out Dexter's secret, Angela didn't hesitate. She didn't cover for him. She didn't make excuses. She saw him for what he truly was, a serial killer, and made sure he would finally face justice. But before he could stand trial, Harrison, Dexter's own son, killed him. Angela let Harrison go, but she made sure Dexter's story ended once and for all. Angela was the final person to uncover Dexter's truth, and the one who ensured he wouldn't escape this time. From James Dokes to Angela Bishop, every person who discovered Dexter's secret met a grim fate. Some, like Dokes and LaGuardia, tried to bring him to justice and paid with their lives. Others, like Deborah, struggled with the truth until it destroyed them. Then there were those, like Hannah McKay, who accepted Dexter for who he was, but were left behind in the chaos he created. In the end, no one could truly escape the consequences of knowing Dexter Morgan. Whether they fought him, helped him, or loved him, they all suffered in one way or another. Dexter's secret was his greatest weapon, but also his biggest curse. The moment someone learned the truth, their life changed forever. And for most, it didn't end well. Was Dexter doomed from the start? Or could things have gone differently if someone had truly stopped him sooner? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos of your favorite show. Thanks for watching.